This video is brought to you by my two books, Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist and The Blues Guitar Bible. Want to learn about modes, harmony, scales, chord substitution and keys? Or maybe you're interested in supercharging your blues guitar rhythm and lead chops. Whatever you're interested in, I guarantee you will be hitting the fast lane to progress with either of these works. Both feature video demonstrations and tutorials, loads of tabs and jam tracks to play along with, and I promise you, everything is explained in crystal clear plain English. Check out the links in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Every morning the same routine, coffee, shower, a little bit of breakfast, walk the dog, then I'm up here in the office and by about 8 AM and I have a jam. That's just how I start the day off. It just kind of puts me in the right frame of mind, really, and loosens everything up and gets me ready for the day. And that was this morning's, yes. And the reason I thought I'd throw that into a video today is because, well, I want to talk about phrasing again. We've looked at phrasing earlier on in this series of videos about, lead guitar, developing lead guitar skills, but I thought it was worth circling back to it because it is perhaps the most important, short of making sure you don't play any wrong notes. Phrasing is the thing which is most important because it's what makes a solo sound like a solo rather than just some notes. And I've been noticing, well, over the past few years recently, that some of my students will make recordings of themselves improvising, just so I can give them some feedback. And I often can hear, well, yeah, I can hear that's that David Gilmour lick that we learned in that solo, or that's that Clapton or Slash or Mark Knopfler lick. Any of the solos that I tend to go through with my students, I start to hear those licks kind of coming back at me in the solos that they're doing, and often it works, but well, quite often it doesn't either, because none of these, how do you make a Slash lick and a Mark Knopfler lick and an Eric Clapton lick and a David Gilmour lick all kind of live together? It can often sound like all that the player is doing is just reciting a bunch of licks. I'm not saying don't learn other people's solos, don't learn their licks, because there is value to that, as we will see when we look at the next part of the video. What I'm saying is, well, this is what I'm saying.
Here is the explanation.
Right, what we need ideally is some sort of way in to the solo, some kind of opening gambit, and this is very much how I'm thinking when I'm playing, and it works for me. This sort of initial idea can come from anywhere. It can be, I think in one of the earlier videos in this series I talked about, taking a spoken phrase, or anything, any form of, what did I say? If it can be written, it can be spoken. If it can be spoken, it can be sung. If it can be sung, it can be played. And I think I use something like all day breakfast served here. All day breakfast served here. I think I used that as one of the early examples in that earlier video. Or you can just learn someone else's lick or licks and use that as your inspiration. But if all you're doing when you're playing a solo is, just reciting licks that you've learned, then at some point you're going to run out. Let's say you've learned 50 licks, probably more than that. But, as you're kind of playing your solo and you get to 47, 48, 49, bang, 50. Okay, what am I going to do now? If you think like the way I'm going to encourage you to think now, then it just sort of self-generates and you'll never ever run out. So let's take a basic opening idea, something that was I probably did something like this in the solo at the beginning of the video, something like this. Now that has a definite rhythmic shape to it. You could hum that. Da 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 da. Okay. Well, let's just play that elsewhere in the scale. I'm using E minor pentatonic here. So there's that lick. And then maybe you could go. Exactly the same rhythm, give or take, but using different notes. Or maybe there's the same rhythm again. Or maybe anything, any group of notes that you can see that lie in any of the 5 pentatonic box patterns, or associated chord notes that you might want to include as well. Anywhere you can see some appropriate notes mapped out on the neck after you've, worked on learning your scale patterns and everything, you can just populate that rhythm with anything there. So here's the original one. Let's say it was that. Then etc. Just anywhere where you can find the appropriate notes. Here's some examples of me kind of sticking loosely to that sort of idea in the solo that we heard earlier. And by doing that, by using that sort of rhythmic repetition, what it does is it helps to give the solo a sense of continuity. But as well as the sense of continuity, what we want to also develop is some form of progression, some sort of development of the solo to make it sound like it's going somewhere. So the easiest way to do that is to start adding notes. So I'll just take the original lick here and let's see how much we can extend that lick. So just adding a couple of notes on the end. Let's add a couple more. Like that, or maybe just, be careful to make sure that you definitely have an ending somewhere so it doesn't just become like a rambling note salad. But as long as you are kind of sticking somehow or other to that original template, if you like, as your starting point, you can begin to extend it and add other notes. Here's some examples of me doing that in the solo. And the other thing that can happen when you're doing that, when you're doing those extensions, is that the extension itself can become a new idea for a lick. So let's say our original lick. Maybe I'll come up to here. Okay, now I'm liking that. Maybe I'll do something with that. So and then maybe the ending of one of those extensions can become your new idea. And then, if you do what I did in the original solo, after having gone, I think, 4 times through the chord sequence, on the 5th time, I went back to the original lick, or whatever it was that I played. I'm always making sure that first lick that I come out with is something that I can recall and remember and go back to at some point. Because when you do that, it definitely makes it sound like there's a sense of continuity there, like you've kind of gone full circle. And I think towards the end of the solo as well, I did the roughly that same sort of thing up at the octave. And at the time I do that, like that, it could sound like I'm just going to go into some kind of thing like that. But I did a little bit of repetition within repetition. So it was something like... something along those kind of lines. I forget what I played now because it was in the moment and I was improvising. But you'll notice that sort of busier part where I'm using, where I'm leaving less gaps, I'm saving that towards the end of the solo. And if I'd been, kind of a little bit more switched on, a little bit more on the ball, maybe I should have gone back to the very first idea at the end of the solo to finish off with, but I didn't. And sometimes that will just kind of present itself, and other times it doesn't. But this basic idea of taking your opening gambit and then finding the rhythm of it and using that rhythm elsewhere. And then adding notes on the end of it to extend it, and then sometimes that extension becomes a new idea in itself that you can start the whole ball rolling again with. That is how you can avoid ever running out of licks. All it requires you to do is to listen to what you're playing as you're playing it. And that's not an arduous task, really, when you think about it. You know, if you're a musician, you should be listening to what you're doing. And if you find that you're not doing that, well, there's an area that you can work on. Some people find that the backing track just becomes this nice, pleasant backwash over there somewhere and they're not really, paying that much attention to it. Well, if that's you, back off. Play less. Listen to your ideas that you're playing. Listen to those kind of phrases that you're coming up with and start thinking in this way about how you can repeat and extend and alter and develop them. And you will sound more tuneful and melodic as a result. So there you go. Now you know what to do. Go away and have some fun with it. And as always, you'll find a full tab for that solo at the top of the video in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with the clip of me playing it, that explanation you've just seen there, and a jam track to play along with for yourself. That's all up on my Patreon page. There's the address, link in the description, as I'm sure you know by now. $3 or £3-ish a month gets you access to all of these additional goodies and resources that go along with these YouTube videos. And of course, a massive heartfelt thank you to everyone who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are down there in the description, including the tier 2 level of Patreon membership, where you get all that stuff, plus a twice monthly hangout with me and the other tier 2 lads on Zoom, and some extra video content that I put up on the Patreon platform as well. So if that sounds like the sort of thing you're interested in, go and click the link. But massive amounts of thanks to, as I say, everyone who helps me keep the lights on around here. Massively appreciated. Thank you very much. And that's pretty much the video for today, folks. Hope you found it useful and informative and hopefully entertaining in some small way. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time, regular as clockwork. We drink beer and talk about stuff, basically. That's the heart of the matter. Music and guitars are often under discussion, but the conversation can and often does go absolutely anywhere. It's a fantastic, I think, way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. There's my phone. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.